Welcome to Life Begins at 50, where every story reminds you that your best chapter might just be the one you're living now. Let me ask you something. What if the things you're still doing after 60 are quietly holding you back from better health, deeper peace, and even longer life? In today's video, we're uncovering 7 habits that seem harmless, but could be slowly stealing your energy, your confidence, and your joy. Some of these may surprise you. A few might hit a little too close to home, but by the end of this video, you'll walk away lighter, wiser, and more in control of how you age on your terms. So stay with me. What we're about to talk about might just change the way you look at the next 10 years of your life. 1. Stop ignoring personal safety. Once you reach 60, things that used to feel harmless can suddenly become dangerous. I learned that firsthand on what seemed like an ordinary day when I went to help my daughter move into her new apartment in New York City. Her place was on the 20th floor, so high that standing near the window gave me the unsettling feeling that the wind itself could carry you right off the ledge. While I was assembling a bookshelf in her living room, the doorbell rang. 2 window washers walked in, one in his late 20s, the other clearly in his 50s, with the weathered face of someone who's spent years doing tough, hands-on work. At first, I assumed they'd simply clean the windows from inside. But then the younger man unlocked the window, which in New York is designed to only open a few inches for safety. He tried pushing a squeegee through the narrow gap, but it didn't work. And then came the moment I'll never forget. He swung the window wide open and stepped out onto the narrow ledge. No harness, no safety strap, just nerves and muscle memory. The older man stood inside, gripping a rope tied around the younger one's waist, his only lifeline. For the next 5 minutes, which felt like an eternity, my daughter and I watched in silent terror as the young man leaned his body against the glass with one hand, and with the other, sprayed, scrubbed, and wiped. Slowly, he worked his way across the window, step by step, completely exposed to the open air, 20 stories above the ground. When they finished, they packed up like it was just another routine job. I asked the older man if this was standard. He nodded and said that buildings built in the 70s and 80s often don't have proper safety hooks, so this is the only option. But he added something else that stuck with me. We never send the older guys out there. Balance, strength, it's not what it used to be. We don't take that risk. That's when it hit me. After 60, there's certain things you simply shouldn't do anymore. Not because you're weak, but because you've earned the right to live safely. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. If your gut says, this is dangerous, you're probably right. And it's not just about ladders or power tools. It's about recognizing when to step back and letting wisdom take the lead over pride. 2. Stop staying out late. There's a certain quiet pride in staying up late. Maybe it reminds us of youth, of energy, of the freedom we once had. I still remember the year I turned 21. Me and my group of college friends all hit that milestone around the same time, and we celebrated like it meant something big. And back then it did. Friday nights in Chicago felt electric. We'd meet at places like Limelight or Smart Bar, slipping into that rhythm of the city that only came alive after midnight. The music, the laughter, the spontaneous conversations, they filled us with this sense that we were right where we belonged. But when I look back now, I realize it wasn't the nightlife that made those nights magical. It was the people. It was the feeling of connection, of being part of a tribe, of belonging to something just beyond yourself. Now, fast forward 4 decades. Most of those same friends are tucked into bed by 10 p.m. And frankly, so am I. Our bodies don't crave the chaos anymore. They long for rest, for routine, for predictability. It's not just about being tired. It's about the way our rhythms have changed with age. These days, staying up late doesn't mean excitement. It means grogginess the next day, headaches, maybe even health risks. Sleep isn't just a luxury anymore. It's a lifeline, and missing out on it means more than just a yawn or two. There's no shame in that. Aging isn't about giving things up, it's about trading up. I may no longer dance past midnight with friends in dimly lit clubs, but I get to wake up with clarity, to savor the early morning quiet, a cup of tea, to feel fully present in my day. That's a different kind of joy, a deeper one. So if you find yourself hesitating when someone suggests a late night gathering, listen to that voice inside. It's not fear. It's not getting old. It's your body reminding you that rest is sacred now, and that tomorrow's sunrise will be much more beautiful when you meet it fully rested. 3. Stop eating poorly. There's something deeply comforting about food. It connects us to our past, our family, our identity. I still remember waking up as a kid to the smell of bacon frying in the kitchen, pancakes sizzling on the griddle, and my mother humming to herself as she prepared breakfast. Back then, a good meal meant hearty servings of eggs, butter, sausage, everything rich and filling. But here's the thing. What felt like love on a plate in 1965 doesn't quite work the same way when you're over 60. For many people in our generation, unhealthy eating isn't a choice. It's a habit built from childhood memories and decades of repetition. We were taught to clean our plates, reward ourselves with dessert, and never waste food. And let's be honest, many of us didn't grow up counting calories or thinking about heart health. We grew up in homes where bread was served with every meal, salt was flavor, and vegetables were boiled to death. But today, science is clearer than ever. Our aging bodies process food differently. Our metabolism slows down, blood pressure rises more easily, and cholesterol becomes a real concern. Not just a word in a commercial. It's not about guilt. It's about empowerment, about realizing that every bite we take after 60 has more impact than it used to. And the good news is, change doesn't have to be extreme. It can start small, switching out heavy breakfasts for fruit and oats, choosing grilled over fried, saying yes to water instead of soda. These are little choices that, when added up, become protection. Protection for your heart, your brain, your energy. I know a woman, let's call her Margaret, who spent most of her life baking pies and cooking Southern comfort food for her family. At 62, her doctor gave her a wake-up call: pre-diabetic, rising blood pressure, and high triglycerides. She felt scared, even embarrassed. But she also felt something else, motivated. Slowly, she started experimenting with new recipes. She found ways to keep the flavor she loved, but in healthier forms. A year later, she was walking more, sleeping better, and her labs, all back to normal. Margaret didn't lose herself. She simply evolved. And that's what this is really about. After 60, food isn't just nostalgia, it's fuel. It's medicine. It's one of the few things we can still control, even when so much else feels uncertain. So ask yourself, what story is your plate telling today? And is it one that your body will thank you for tomorrow? 4. Stop skipping routine health exams. I'll be honest, there was a time when I treated annual checkups like a suggestion, not a necessity. I'd go one year, everything would come back fine. I'd think, well, I must be in good shape. So the next year, I'd skip it. And the year after that, maybe I'd forget or make excuses. I wasn't avoiding the doctor out of fear. I just didn't see the point. Why go looking for problems that didn't seem to exist? But that kind of thinking nearly cost someone close to me dearly. Her name was Linda, a friend I'd known for decades. She was one of those people who always seemed healthy, walked every day, ate reasonably well, had a positive attitude. She skipped her checkups too. I feel fine, she used to say. If something were wrong, I'd know. But one year, after much persuasion from her daughter, She scheduled a routine physical. No symptoms, no pain, just a check mark on a to-do list. The next day, the doctor called and told her to come in immediately. Blood work had flagged something unusual. Within a week, she was in surgery for something serious, something silent. If she had waited even a few more months, the outcome could have been much worse. Thankfully, she's okay now, but I still remember the look on her face when she told me what the doctor said. It's good we caught it now. It's a lot easier to fix early. And that's the lesson, isn't it? Our bodies don't always give clear warning signs. Illness doesn't always come with a flashing red light. Sometimes it hides, waiting for us to slip into comfort or neglect. It's easy to think routine exams are optional, especially when the results keep coming back normal. But that's like driving without a seatbelt, just because you've never been in a crash. The day you need that protection is the day you'll wish you hadn't ignored it. Since Linda's experience, I haven't missed a checkup. Not one. And not because I'm afraid, but because I finally understand that health isn't something you react to. It's something you maintain. Like tending a garden, it needs regular attention, even when everything looks okay on the surface. So if it's been a year, 2, maybe more, pick up the phone. Make the appointment. You don't do it because you're weak or worried. You do it because you're wise. And you've earned the right to give your body the care it quietly deserves. 5. Stop taking long-distance trips unnecessarily. There was a time when the idea of hopping on a plane felt thrilling. Packing a suitcase, printing out a boarding pass, watching the city disappear beneath the clouds. It was all part of the adventure. And for most of my life, I embraced that rhythm. In fact, I used to fly to Australia so often, I lost count. Turns out, it was 140 times. That's not a guess. I actually calculated it once. 2.8 million miles in the air. That's over 5,600 hours spent inside an airplane cabin. Entire months of my life, suspended between time zones. Back then, it felt normal, necessary. I'd land, hit the ground running, push through jet lag, and tell myself it was worth it. But something changed when I hit my 60s. It wasn't just the jet lag, it was how deeply it lingered. A flight that used to knock me off for a day now took nearly a week to recover from. The ache in my joints, the fog in my mind, the disruption to sleep, it all compounded. Even business class couldn't soften the blow. My body simply didn't bounce back the way it used to. I remember one particular trip. I flew east across 10 time zones. I arrived exhausted, disoriented, and emotionally flat. I had planned to visit old friends, enjoy some local sights, maybe write a bit. Instead, I spent most of the trip recovering from flight. And by the time I felt normal again, it was time to fly back. That was the moment I asked myself, why am I doing this? Is this trip truly necessary? Or am I just holding on to a version of life that doesn't fit anymore? Long-distance travel isn't bad in itself. There are beautiful reasons to fly, to see loved ones, experience something new, say goodbye. But when we hit 60, we need to weigh the cost more carefully. Not just the money or time, but the toll it takes on our bodies, our energy, our peace. If you have to fly, consider going north to south rather than across time zones. That kind of travel may be more manageable, but sometimes the wisest choice is staying closer to home and inviting the world to come to you. You don't have to cross oceans to feel alive. Sometimes the most meaningful journeys happen in your own neighborhood. Lunch with an old friend, a quiet walk through a local park, even a short drive to visit someone you haven't seen in years. These moments don't require passports. They just require presence. Because after 60, the goal isn't to chase more miles. It's to protect your time, your health, and your energy for the things that truly matter. 6. Stop sacrificing consistent sleep. It used to be a badge of honor, staying up late. burning the candle at both ends, squeezing just one more task, one more email, one more episode into the night. I used to tell myself that sleep was flexible, that I could catch up on the weekend. But as the years passed, I began to feel the quiet consequences of that mindset, and I realized something simple, but powerful. Sleep isn't a luxury, it's a foundation. It became especially clear to me one morning when I woke up after yet another restless night. My head was foggy, my energy low, and my mood off. I hadn't done anything unusual the night before, just stayed up scrolling on my phone, thinking I was unwinding. But I was really robbing myself, not just of rest, but of clarity, peace, and the energy I'd need to fully enjoy the next day. It's funny, isn't it? When we were younger, we fought sleep. As children, bedtime felt like a punishment. In our 30s and 40s, sleep was something to sacrifice for ambition, for family, for getting it all done. But after 60, the cost of that sacrifice grows heavier. Sleep becomes sacred, and missing it doesn't just mean a tired day. It can mean higher blood pressure, memory slips, irritability, and even greater risk of falls or illness. I remember talking to my friend Joe, who's in his late 60s. He used to be a night owl, prided himself on being a late-night thinker. But he told me one day, I finally admitted to myself, I feel better when I go to bed on time. I'm sharper, I move better, I'm not dragging through the day. And he's right. Sleep isn't just rest, it's repair. It's when the brain clears out clutter, when the heart gets a break, when our immune system gets stronger. Yet, many of us keep a phone right by the bed. We let it blink, buzz, tempt us back into distraction. And without realizing it, we trade deep sleep for shallow scrolling. The change doesn't have to be dramatic. Maybe it starts with moving the phone out of arm's reach, turning off the TV a bit earlier, creating a bedtime ritual, reading, gentle music, a cup of herbal tea. The body thrives on rhythm, especially after 60. And every consistent night of rest becomes a gift to your next day. You don't need to be heroic anymore by staying up late. The real strength now lies in honoring your body's quiet requests, in choosing stillness, in waking up refreshed, not because you got lucky, but because you made sleep a priority. 7. Stop worrying about what others think. There's a quiet freedom that begins to settle in as we grow older. It doesn't come all at once. It arrives slowly, after the jobs, the parenting, the years of trying to do the right thing, of trying to be liked, approved of, respected. And yet, for many of us, even into our 60s and beyond, we still carry this invisible weight. What will people think? It shows up in the smallest decisions. Wearing the same shirt twice, saying no to a social event, starting something new at a late age, voicing your opinion, declining to explain yourself. I'll never forget a conversation I had with a woman named Evelyn. She was 72, sharp as ever, always well put together. She told me that for most of her life, she was consumed with being appropriate. She followed the rules, dressed conservatively, never rocked the boat. But when her husband passed and her kids moved out, she had what she called a rude awakening. I realized, she said, that I had spent more time trying to be what people expected than figuring out what I actually liked. And then she smiled, wide, unapologetic. So I dyed my hair pink. I started painting. I even joined a local improv group. I stopped caring what they'd say, because I finally knew who I was. That stuck with me, because the truth is, people will always have opinions, some spoken, some silently implied. But here's the question that really matters. Are they the ones living your life? Are they waking up in your body, with your memories, your dreams, your regrets? Studies show that over 85% of the things people worry about never actually happen. And of the remaining 15%, Most are either less severe than expected or completely manageable. That means nearly all of our anxiety about being judged, rejected, or misunderstood is just smoke. It feels real, but it's not. After 60, you've earned the right to be real, to show up as yourself, to laugh loudly, to cry openly, to wear what makes you feel good, even if it breaks some unspoken rule. This stage of life isn't about fitting in. It's about finally stepping out. Let others think what they will. Let them whisper. Let them wonder. Meanwhile, you're living. Fully. Honestly. Without apology. Because there's nothing more beautiful than someone who's finally comfortable in their own skin. Scars, stories, and all.